Hello, friends. I want to tell you a story that's going to make your blood boil. It's about a gentleman named Donald, a 71-year-old retiree who thought he was being smart with his money. He was choosing senior-friendly services, following the advice of well-meaning friends, and doing everything he thought was right for someone his age. But here's the kicker. Donald was unknowingly throwing away nearly $24,000 every single year. $24,000. That's more than many people make in a year, and he was just giving it away. Now, before you think this is just about one person's mistake, let me tell you something that might surprise you. Donald's story is happening to millions of seniors across America right now, maybe even to you or someone you love. The wake-up call. It all started when Donald's daughter Emma came to visit for Thanksgiving. You know how family gatherings go. Everyone's catching up, sharing stories, comparing this and that. Well, Emma happened to mention how much she was paying for her prescriptions, and Donald nearly choked on his turkey. "Wait," he said. "You're paying what for that blood pressure medication?" Emma pulled out her phone and showed him the receipt. The exact same medication that Donald was paying his senior-friendly pharmacy $127 more for every single month. Same pills, same quantity, same manufacturer, but Emma was paying a fraction of what Donald was. That's when the light bulb went off. Donald started asking more questions. How much was Emma paying for groceries, banking fees, home services, transportation? With every answer, Donald's heart sank a little deeper. He realized that in trying to make his life easier by choosing businesses that marketed specifically to seniors, he had fallen into what I call the senior premium trap. What is the senior premium? Here's something that's going to make you angry, and it should. There's an entire industry built around the idea that seniors need special, simplified, friendly services, and they're willing to pay extra for them. These companies use warm, fuzzy marketing. They talk about understanding your needs, patient service, and senior-appropriate solutions. They make you feel like you're part of an exclusive club, getting special treatment that regular businesses just can't provide. But here's the truth that nobody wants to tell you. Most of the time, you're paying premium prices for standard services wrapped in pretty packaging. Donald learned this the hard way. For years, he thought he was being responsible, choosing services designed for his age group. What he didn't realize was that he was being systematically overcharged for the privilege. The pharmacy scam that started it all. Let's start with where Donald's awakening began, his pharmacy. Donald had been loyal to Silvercare Pharmacy for 3 years. They marketed themselves as the pharmacy that understands seniors. They offered delivery, prescription synchronization, and pharmacists who took time to explain everything. Sounds great, right? Donald thought so too. He was even getting a senior discount, 10% off all his medications. He felt like he was saving money. But when Emma did some digging, here's what they discovered. The base prices at Silvercare were 35 to 40% higher than standard pharmacy chains. So that 10% senior discount, Donald was still paying way more than if he just walked into any regular pharmacy. Those special services, delivery, prescription synchronization, detailed consultations. Emma found out that her regular CVS offered all of these for free. No special senior program needed. The math was shocking. Donald was paying $127 more every single month. That's over $1,500 a year for the exact same medications, just because they came with a senior-friendly label. But the pharmacy was just the tip of the iceberg. The banking trap. Donald banked with Heritage Community Bank, which had a whole department dedicated to senior financial services. They made him feel important, valued. He had a personal banker who knew his name, large print statements, and something they called priority service. All of this came packaged in their Senior Advantage account, which cost him $47 every month. Plus, his investment options were limited to what they called senior appropriate funds, conservative investments with higher fees and lower returns. When Donald finally compared his banking situation to what Emma was doing, he was stunned. Emma used a standard online bank with no monthly fees, plus a discount brokerage for investments. She had access to thousands of investment options with rock-bottom fees, the so-called personal service that Donald was paying for. Emma got the same level of customer support from her online bank. She just had to call when she needed it instead of having it built into an expensive monthly package. Donald's banking and investment premiums were costing him $2,800 every year. The food and grocery premium. Now, this one really gets to me because it targets one of the most basic human needs: food. Donald had subscribed to Golden Year's grocery delivery because, as they advertised, we understand that shopping can become difficult as you age. They charged him a $20 monthly membership fee, plus a 25 to 30% markup on all groceries. On top of that, he was getting meals from Senior Chef, a service that delivered nutrition-focused meals designed for seniors. These were basically frozen dinners that cost $38 each. $38 for a frozen dinner. Emma spent about $520 a month on groceries and occasional takeout. Donald was spending $1,492 a month. For what? Less variety, more processed foods, and the privilege of having senior slapped on the label. The reality check came when Emma showed Donald that regular grocery delivery services like Instacart or even Walmart delivery offered the same convenience at standard grocery store prices. And if he wanted meal delivery, there are dozens of services offering fresh, high-quality meals for half what Senior Chef was charging. By switching to standard services, or better yet, doing some simple cooking at home, Donald could save almost $11,000 a year on food alone. The home services markup. Donald's home was his pride and joy, and he wanted to take good care of it. That's why he hired senior-focused companies for cleaning, repairs, and lawn care. These companies promised patient service, safe cleaning products, and detailed explanations of all work. He was paying $740 a month for these services. Emma, living in the same area with a similar-sized home, was paying $380 a month for cleaning, repairs, and lawn care from standard service providers. Same quality work, same level of care. Emma's providers were just as willing to explain what they were doing and accommodate special requests. The only difference? They didn't charge a premium for being senior-friendly. That's $3,840 a year that Donald was overpaying just for services with the right marketing spin. The technology trap. This is where things get really frustrating, because it plays into stereotypes about seniors and technology. Donald had fallen for several senior-friendly tech services. He was paying $127 a month for Senior Connect Internet and phone service, which promised patient technical support and large print bills. Emma was getting faster internet and better phone service for $78 a month from a standard provider. And guess what? They also offered patient support and could format bills however customers wanted. Donald was renting something called a Grand Pad tablet for $89 a month. This was marketed as a simplified tablet designed for seniors. It had fewer features than a regular iPad, couldn't download most apps. And over the course of a year, The rental fees added up to more than buying several iPads outright. He also had Life Alert for $69 a month. Now, medical alert systems can be genuinely important, but Emma found equivalent services with the same technology and monitoring for $29 a month. The technology premium was costing Donald over $2,100 a year, transportation and travel overcharges. Donald had stopped driving at night and relied on senior ride services for evening transportation. They charged $45 per ride for what they called patient senior-friendly drivers. Emma showed him that Uber and Lyft drivers in their area were just as courteous and patient, charging only $18 to $25 for the same trips. For vacation, Donald had been booking with Golden Years Travel, thinking their senior-paced tours were worth the premium. A typical week-long trip cost him $4,200. Emma found similar tours through standard travel agencies, same destinations, same pace, same accommodations, for $2,800 to $3,100. Even car maintenance was costing Donald extra. He used a service called Senior Auto Care, paying 30 to 40% more than standard shops for basic oil changes and tune-ups. Their selling point? We take time to explain everything and never pressure seniors into unnecessary services. But Emma found that any reputable auto shop would do exactly the same thing if you simply asked. All told, transportation and travel premiums were costing Donald about $2,400 a year. The shocking total. When Donald and Emma added it all up, here's what they found. Pharmacy premium, $1,524 per year.
Banking and investment premium, $2,800 per year.
Food and grocery premium, $10,944 per year. Home services premium, $3,840 per year. Technology premium, $2,136 per year. Transportation and travel premium, $2,400 per year. Total annual overpayment, $23,644, nearly $24,000 a year. And here's what really hurts. If Donald had been investing that money instead of throwing it away at just a 5% annual return, he would have had an extra $195,000 after 10 years. Why this happens to smart people. Now, before anyone starts thinking Donald was naive or foolish, let me stop you right there. Donald is a retired engineer. He's smart, careful with money, and genuinely thought he was making good decisions. The reason this happens to so many intelligent seniors is that these companies are really, really good at what they do. They understand that as we age, we might appreciate a little extra patience, clearer explanations, or more personal service. These are reasonable desires. But here's the manipulation. They've convinced people that you can only get these things by paying premium prices to senior-focused companies. They make you believe that regular businesses won't understand your needs, won't be patient, won't provide good service. It's simply not true. Most businesses want to keep customers happy regardless of age. A good company will explain their services clearly, be patient with questions, and accommodate reasonable requests. Because that's just good business.
You don't need to pay extra for basic courtesy and good service.
How Donald fought back. Once Donald understood what was happening, he didn't get mad, he got methodical. Here's exactly what he did, and you can follow the same process. Week 1, the audit. Donald made a list of every service he was using that marketed itself as senior-friendly or senior-focused. He wrote down what he was paying and what specific benefits he thought he was getting. Week 2, research. For each service, Donald found at least 2 standard alternatives. He called them, asked about pricing, and specifically asked if they could accommodate his needs. like patient explanations, delivery, or flexible scheduling. Week 3, test run. Donald didn't cancel everything at once. That would have been overwhelming. Instead, he picked one category, groceries, and tried a standard delivery service for 2 weeks. Week 4, compare and decide. After testing the standard service, Donald compared the actual experience, not just the marketing promises. In almost every case, the standard service was just as good, often better, and always less expensive. Months 2 to 6, gradual transition. Donald switched one category per month. This gave him time to get comfortable with each change without feeling overwhelmed. The results. 6 months later, Donald had transformed his financial situation. He was saving $23,644 a year, but that's not even the best part. The best part was that his quality of life actually improved. He had access to more options, better technology, fresher food, and more competitive services. He felt more independent and confident. Most importantly, he realized that he didn't need senior-friendly companies to treat him with dignity and respect. He could expect and receive good service from any business. Your action plan.
If Donald's story sounds familiar, here's how you can conduct your own audit.
Step 1. Identify the premium services. Look at your monthly expenses. Any service that specifically markets to seniors uses. Continue. Words like senior-friendly, age-appropriate, or designed for seniors deserves a closer look. Step 2. Research standard alternatives. For each service, find at least 2 regular companies offering the same thing. Don't assume you need special accommodations. Step 3. Ask the right questions. When you call standard providers, be specific about what you need. Instead of saying, "Do you have senior services?" ask things like, "Can you explain your services clearly and patiently? Do you offer delivery or flexible scheduling? What's your customer service like for people who might need extra time to understand billing or technical issues?" You'll be surprised how many companies will say, "Of course," to these reasonable requests. Step 4. Start small. Don't overwhelm yourself by changing everything at once. Pick the category where you're overpaying the most. For Donald, that was groceries and meals. Test one alternative for a month. Step 5. Compare the real experience. After trying a standard service, honestly compare it to what you were getting before. Is the service quality the same? Better? Are you really missing anything important? Or were you just paying for marketing fluff? Step 6. Calculate your savings. Keep track of what you're saving each month. Seeing those real numbers add up is incredibly motivating and will give you confidence to tackle the next category.
Red flags to watch for.
Based on Donald's experience and research from organizations like the National Council on Aging, here are warning signs that you might be paying the senior premium. Marketing, red flags. Heavy use of terms like senior-focused, designed for your age, or we understand seniors. Advertising primarily in senior publications or communities. Sales representatives who emphasize how confusing or complicated standard services are. Companies that seem to discourage you from shopping around. Pricing red flags. Discounts off prices that seem unusually high. Bundled services where you can't see individual pricing. Monthly fees for services that are typically free elsewhere. Pressure to sign long-term contracts for locked-in pricing. Service red flags. Claims that they offer things other companies just don't understand. Suggesting that you're too old or it's too complicated to use standard services. Limited options compared to what's available in the regular market. Resistance to explaining exactly what makes their service different beyond being senior-friendly. the bigger picture. Donald's story isn't just about saving money. It's about something much more important. It's about refusing to be treated as if age makes you less capable, less deserving of choices, or less able to navigate the world. The companies that prey on seniors with premium pricing are essentially saying, "You're old, so you need us to simplify everything for you, and you should pay extra for that privilege." That's not just financially harmful, it's insulting. The truth is, seniors today are more educated, more technologically savvy, and more financially sophisticated than any generation in history. You don't need to pay extra for basic respect and good service. Common objections and responses. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, "But I really do want that extra personal attention," or "I'm not comfortable with technology," or "What if something goes wrong with a regular company?" Let me address these concerns. I like having someone who knows me personally. That's completely understandable, but you can build relationships with standard service providers too. Emma's been banking at the same branch for 5 years. The tellers know her name, remember her preferences, and provide excellent personal service. She just doesn't pay a monthly fee for it. I'm not comfortable with technology. You don't have to be a tech expert to avoid the senior premium. Many standard services offer phone support, in-person assistance, or will walk you through processes step by step. The key is asking for help when you need it, not paying premium prices for permanently simplified services. What if something goes wrong? Standard companies have customer service departments, dispute resolution processes, and often better protections than smaller, senior-focused businesses. Plus, you'll have more money in your pocket to handle any issues that do arise. The psychological aspect. Here's something important that Donald learned. Part of what kept him paying premium prices was fear. Fear of making mistakes, fear of being treated poorly, fear of being seen as difficult if he asked questions or needed extra time. These fears are understandable, but they were costing him nearly $24,000 a year. The reality is that most businesses want happy customers regardless of age. Good companies train their employees to be patient, helpful, and accommodating. You have every right to expect good service, and you shouldn't have to pay extra for it. Building confidence. One thing that helped Donald was realizing he could always change his mind. If he tried a standard service and didn't like it, he could switch to something else. Nothing was permanent. This mindset shift was huge. Instead of feeling locked into senior-friendly services out of fear, he started seeing himself as a smart consumer with options. He also learned to advocate for himself. If a service representative was rushing him, he'd say, "I need you to slow down and explain this more clearly." If a company couldn't accommodate his needs, he'd take his business elsewhere. These aren't unreasonable requests. They're the basics of good customer service.
The ripple effect.
Donald's story doesn't end with his own savings. He started sharing what he learned with friends in his community. Within a year, his neighbor Margaret had saved $8,000 by switching from senior-focused services to standard alternatives. His friend Robert saved over $5,000 just by changing pharmacies and meal delivery services. They started an informal group at their community center, sharing research on different services and helping each other navigate changes. What started as Donald's personal awakening became a movement of seniors refusing to pay the senior premium. Special considerations. Now, I want to be clear about something important. There are legitimate services designed for seniors that provide real value. If you have specific health conditions, mobility limitations, or other needs that require specialized care, by all means, invest in quality services that address those needs. The key is distinguishing between services you actually need and marketing that preys on assumptions about age. For example, if you have arthritis that makes it difficult to open medication bottles, a pharmacy that provides easy open caps is providing real value. But if you're paying extra just because they call themselves senior-friendly while providing standard services, that's the premium trap. Trust your judgment. You know what you actually need versus what marketers are trying to convince you that you need. Looking forward, Donald is now 73, 2 years into his senior premium recovery. He's saved nearly $50,000, which he's invested for his future care needs. More importantly, he feels more confident and independent than he has in years. He's learned to use a regular tablet, not a senior one, shops at standard grocery stores with delivery when needed, and banks online like millions of other Americans. He hasn't sacrificed quality of life. He's enhanced it while keeping more of his hard-earned money. Your next steps. If Donald's story resonates with you, don't wait. Every month you delay is money out of your pocket. Start with one category, maybe the one where you suspect you're overpaying the most. Do some research, make some phone calls, and test one alternative. Remember, you're not just saving money. You're reclaiming your right to be treated as a capable adult who deserves good service at fair prices, regardless of age. You've earned the right to make your own choices about your money, your services, and your life. Don't let anyone convince you that age means you should pay more for less. The bottom line. Donald's story is ultimately about respect, self-respect, and demanding respect from businesses that want your money. When a company charges you extra just for being a senior, they're not showing you respect. They're showing you that they think age makes you an easy target. You're smarter than that, you're more capable than that, and you deserve better than that. The senior premium is real, it's expensive, and it's insulting. But it's also completely avoidable once you know what to look for. Take control of your finances. Question every service that markets specifically to seniors. Compare prices honestly. Ask for what you need without paying premium prices for it. Your retirement savings will thank you. And more importantly, you'll thank yourself for refusing to be treated as anything less than the capable, intelligent adult you are. Donald saved $23,644 a year by making these changes. How much could you save? The question isn't whether you can afford to make these changes. The question is, can you afford not to? Don't let anyone put an age-based price tag on your dignity. You've got this.